We're playing your deck.
But not here in the studio.
We're playing them here at Paupergeddon,
the largest Pauper tournament in the whole world.
We randomly selected decks you sent us and we'll be playing them in the tournament.
And whoever wins the most games will send the deck to the user who submitted it to us.
But if you miss the deadline, you can buy the deck on Cardmarket. This is Yer, my round 1 opponent. He came here to take down the whole tournament. Luckily for me, he mega mulled. I play an island, my opponent plays a benevolent bodyguard. Whew! It's just a 1-1 that does charity work on the side, but I know now that I will win this game. Because I did not come here to care about 1-1s. Because you'll think I'm doing nothing. If only he knew how little this matters. I'll choose to just do nothing. Well, why are you doing nothing, Carl? I'll draw a card. What for, Carl? To draw more cards! Drawing cards is literally half the reason we play Magic at all. And then I'll do nothing again. I'm so sorry. He puts an aura on his creature and attacks. I'll play a land and do nothing. And you must be thinking, wow, I've got this in the bag. My opponent must have drawn so many lands. He's literally doing nothing. No, my friends, I came here to do one thing. And do it again and again, every turn. And it's to cast fogs. Because here's the thing. I love Turbo Fog, and people know I love Turbo Fog. So when we asked you for decks to send to play at this event, you send us so many Turbo Fog decks. And the whole point of my game plan is to prevent combat damage. This turn, next turn, every turn. If all I do is draw cards and prevent combat damage, my opponent cannot ever win. And we get to play more and more Magic, which is what we came here to do anyway. Until I mill him for 20 a few turns in a row, and then we can stop playing Magic. What do you have, Toralf?
Well, I'm playing against Matteo. We'll start our tournament with something pretty normal. My opponent plays a Pokemon card. Oh, it's Gardens. I would estimate this to be the worst possible matchup in the universe because I will follow up with an Urza's Power Plant into an Expedition map. Yes, I'm playing Tron. For those of you who don't know, my greatest success has been winning the Magic the Gathering Pro Tour with Mono Green Tron, a deck that plays Urza's Power Plant, Urza's Mine, and Urza's Tower, and all three of them make 7 mana on turn 3. So when I saw that one of the decks we randomly picked was Mono Black Tron, I could not say no. But here, just assembled Tron and have to pass the turn because there are no card liberators in Pauper. My opponent sacrificed this Pokemon to draw some cards, and now that I have 8 mana, I will cast Ulamox Crusher. It's an 8-8 for 8. When it attacks, my opponent has to sacrifice 2 permanents, and with the downside of I have to attack, I mean, I'm not gonna not attack, so what's the deal? Oh, I have to sacrifice it. I feel like against the Gardens deck, I have less creatures than they have removal. Game 1 is just a breakfast for them. But you send in so many exciting decks that we couldn't resist.
So we invited our Pauper specialist Devin to Italy with us, picked another deck at random from your submissions, and gave it to him to see if he'd compete with us to give away his deck to a viewer if he won more rounds. Now let's see what Devin is playing.
Are you winning?
I'm cycling a Street Wraith.
Okay.
I'll pay 2 life, discard it, then draw a card. Then I'll make 3 extra mana with Dark Ritual.
Oh, this is going to be big.
Cycle a Dranistinger.
Interesting.
Cycle a Monstrous Carabid.
Okay.
Play a land. Cycle a Street Wraith. Cycle a Dranistinger. Oh look, my opponent cycled the Lorien Revealed.
Okay, we'll come back to this one once he does something because this is too much cycling for me. This is not the Tour de France. Are you winning your second game, Talf?
I think I'm doing good. Look, I've just become the Monarch, and his 0-1 Poke Plants don't do any damage, so I might be drawing cards for a few turns. I'll sacrifice my Sphere for an Ancient Styx that's basically modern. I get an Expedition map, crack it for my 3rd Tron land, my 3 Tron children tapping collectively for 7 mana to play Boulder Branch Golem. Well, it's a long way from Karn and Pauper, but it's a 6/5 that gains me 6 life when it enters the battlefield. Okay, he gets rid of it, but that's alright. I'm still the king, and I draw a kingly card. My opponent plays a creature. He wants the crown. That's cute. I have 12 mana. I'll play 2 creatures.
Wow, your deck is actually killing it. Devin, are you still doing nothing?
How do you only have 2 land and a treasure token?
I'm gonna concede this game.
Oh, so you lost?
No, I won game 1. We're gonna play a 3rd game now.
How do you win? Did you bore him to death?
Talaf, please tell me you're winning this game as well, even if by boredom.
I might be turning this around. I get rid of his Death Touch creature, attack with my Eldrazi, it lives. I play another. How would my opponent ever beat 2 8/8s that make him sacrifice 4 cards a turn? Oh, a Death Touch creature, that's a good start. I drew a 3rd Ulamox Crusher, let's start crushing. Attack with both, this is so exciting. Oh no, this attack could not have gone any worse. He pulls a 4-1 skeleton from his dungeon. What? A Yu-Gi-Oh card as well? Mateo's Blaines walked into the Shadow Realm. Oh, it did indeed go worse. Well, this is how the cookie crumbles. Oh, Devin, did you lose?
I didn't lose. We came to a draw. Neither of us could beat the other person, so we ended the game.
I can't wait to find out what your deck actually does. It seems like you're the only person who's doing less than me.
Okay, we have to step up our game for the next round. Killian, I want to give you this Tron deck.
Well, this is Luca, and Luca plays a creature. Darn it, I should have told him we don't care about combat damage in these parts. Do we want to try to guess what Devin is doing?
Take a guess.
Cycle this Horror of the Broken Lands. Cycle this Dranith Healer. Every day I'm cycling.
Okay, it's exactly what we expected. I've assembled Tron on turn 3. I actually wonder if I just have natural Tron every single game of every single match, how likely would I be to win the tournament?
Like as a companion? Tron in the command zone?
I'll sacrifice my sphere to make a black mana for my troll. I'll attack with my troll. Carl?
What?
She's playing Fog.
A fellow Smog Hog? Oh my god, that's a fog.
You guys are spreading like a plague. Devin, are you still cycling?
Nah, I'm done cycling. I won the game.
What? It's only turn 4. We need to start paying more attention to your board. Luca's actually playing out infinite creatures, but all I do is fog, 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 and then I mill.
I mean, she's fogging a lot, but Olamok's Crusher here might be the end of your foggy friend. No amount of Tangles or Moment's Peace will prevent her from having to sacrifice 2 permanents every time I attack. And I keep on attacking no matter what. I don't even have a choice. It says so on the card. I didn't make the rules. Let's cut this short. I end up with 74 converted mana cost on the board, but she kept on fogging like a chimney. Let's see if Devin's still cycling.
Cycle Horror of the Broken Lands.
Oh, what a surprise.
Cycle Dranith Healer.
It was so close. I have 8 cards in my library, but the Crusher took away all of her lands.
Okay, let's finally tune into Devin's game. Let's see how he wins.
I'm just gonna cycle this Imposing Mantisaur.
Lol.
Oh, look! My opponent scoops. I win!
There's no way. You are beating me and all you do is cycle? It seems like you're literally doing nothing else.
Hey, it's okay. There's still 5 rounds to go and it's anybody's game. I believe in us. If we tie, then we'll just give away 3 whole decks. But first, I have Nicola to beat. I'll start by doing step 1 of my 3-step plan by just playing lands and then staring into my opponent's eyes and just hoping they lose themselves in the fog. Oh, he does the same. Is this a fog mirror? I'll brainstorm. I will cycle this Ash Baron. Ooh, he'll brainstorm too. What? And also an Ash Barons? Is that Spider-Man? Oh no, he's playing creatures? Boo. And this one's really good because it'll give him the Monarch, which allows him to draw 2 cards per turn, and he'll keep the Monarch until I hit him with a creature. But I don't play any creatures. So let's try to mill him out of the game. Wait, why is he lightning bolting me? Ah, that hurts. He attacks with the team. I'll give him the usual. What? Spell Pierce? That's okay. We're a fog deck, so we'll fog. What, another counter spell? That will do it.
This is Andrea. On step 1 of my 3-step program, my Sim City already has 1 mine in it. Now it has a tower. We are 66% complete, and now we have Tron online, baby. Let's play a Boulder Branch Golem. Let's attack for 6. Oh, people really have to stop destroying my golems. It's becoming a problem. Luckily, I untap and I get the Monarch. And this, my friends, is where I take the lead. My opponent's deck is all about value, but how does Andrea beat someone with 12 mana who draws 2 cards a turn? Do whatever you want, Andrea. I have more Jazzy Beaters where that came from. Remove as many creatures as you want. I'm drawing 2 cards a turn, and I never ran out. Ha! Sure. Play a counter spell. What you need is counter spells. And if you remove my creatures, I can remove yours too. You're never gonna get that crown. Devin, are you still cycling?
You know, with this deck, you either have it or you don't. And this time, I didn't have it, and that's okay. I got 1 win, 1 draw, and 1 loss. What about you, Torolf? Are you still tapping 7 mana and swinging in with big creatures?
No, I got beaten down by 2 flying fishes that draw cards. Andrea has so much value. His entire deck is 2 for 1s.
And Carl, is it nothing but fog over there?
And I play a second fog?
Okay, I'm just asking to be sure.
Oh no, Torolf! Did you lose your 3rd game?
Yes, funnily enough, we have the same amount of wins, but you're still in the lead.
He made a snake. We don't like snakes here. This is basically Ireland. And it made friends with a bunch of birds and a magical fish and some emo ornithologist. And it's time to fog. What? Counterspell? Okay, fog again. Another counterspell. What is this guy? The fun police? But I'm also playing counterspells. Oh, he counters my counterspell. You know what? Well played. You deserve that win, Nico.
Oh no, you were so close.
That's okay. Losing this early means I have time to go buy these beautiful stained glass lightning bolts off of one of my favorite artists, Siobhan Altered Art.
All right, it's time for round 4, and it's time to get serious. I need a win in order to take the lead over Carl.
Yes, because once again, whoever wins more games in this tournament will give away the deck we are playing to the person who submitted it.
Okay, this time, let's finally watch Devin and find out how this deck wins games.
This is my opponent for the round, Christian. All right, guys, make sure you're following and taking notes. I'm going to cycle a Street Wraith. I'm going to cycle a Dranistinger. Now, this card is very important to my strategy because whenever I cycle a card, if it's on the battlefield, it will ping my opponent for 1. Cycle this Horror of the Broken Lands. Then I'm going to play a Lotus Petal, but oh no, my opponent, they spell pierce it. I guess I'll just pass the turn back to my opponent without a land drop. They're going to cast an Augur of Bolas. It's a 1/3, and when it enters, they get to look at the top 3 and try and find an instant or sorcery spell. And they reveal another spell pierce, which is really important for me to keep in mind. I'm going to cycle a Dranithealer, and unfortunately still no land drop, so I'll go to my end step and I'll discard a Dranistinger. My opponent taps all 4 of their lands in order to cast a Murmuring Mystic. My opponent is tapped out, so this is my opportunity to try and win the game. Cast a Dark Ritual, adding 3 black mana to my mana pool. Cycle this Imposing Vantasaur. I will cycle a Dranistinger. Cast a Songs of the Damned. Now this is a very powerful card printed way back in Ice Age. It's an instant for just 1 black, and it adds black mana to your mana pool for each creature card in your graveyard. Cast a Deadly Dispute. It lets you draw 2 cards and make a treasure token. I will cast a Reaping the Graves. Now this card has an old mechanic that has been banned in so many formats, which copies it for each spell cast before it in a turn. I will get to target 4 creatures in my graveyard and bring them back with this 1 spell. Cycle a Street Wraith. Cycle this Monstrous Carabid. Play another Songs of the Damned, this time making 8 mana. And you're probably starting to see the loop and how this deck wins. I'm going to cast a Dranistinger from my hand. This card's going to ping my opponent every single time I cycle. And using the treasure token, I'm going to play a second Dranistinger. Now all I need to do is cycle 10 cards to win. I'm going to cycle this Imposing Vantasaur. Let's cycle another Imposing Vantasaur. I'll cycle this Baron Moor. Another Songs of the Damned, this time making 7 mana. Then I cast another Reaping the Graves. And this time, Storm count is 7. Once my opponent sees that I can bring back these 7 creatures with cycling from my graveyard, they decide to concede. A win for me.
I have to say, this is a lot more streamlined than I expected.
Well done, Matthias. The deck you submitted is awesome.
All right, Torolf, how is your round going?
This is Morgan. I play as Tronland, and he plays another gate. Oh boy, it's Car Gates again. That deck is so strong. But watch this. We're about to do the thing. I will Swamp Cycle my Troll of Khazam Doom, which allows me to discard the card and get a Swamp from my deck into my hand. I will untap. I will play that Swamp and cast Exhume! It's the only copy I have in my deck, so this is very exciting. Each player gets to put 1 creature card from their graveyard into play, which usually is not relevant on turn 2, but I have a Troll of Khazam Doom in my graveyard, so I did the thing. A 6 mana 6/5 which has Mega Menace. It can only be blocked by 3 or more creatures.
Did you win the game?
No, I lost a round. What about you, Carl?
This is Daniel, and Daniel is attacking me for 10. I can take a casual 10. Oh, what? Ghostly Flicker? Now this is a little complicated, but because Daniel has 2 familiars in play, all his blue spells cost 2 less to cast. So this Ghostly Flicker just costs 1, and it allows him to exile one of his creatures or lands and then put it back into play under his control. But the really neat thing Daniel is doing here is that he always targets his Archaeomancer and an island. So the island comes back into play, taps the island for blue, uses it to play the Ghostly Flicker, then exiles the island and puts it back into play untapped. But he also does this to the Archaeomancer, which brings back the Ghostly Flicker from his graveyard, meaning he can play this infinite times. And all the while, this Murmuring Mystic is just gonna make a bird every time he does. So Daniel basically has infinite birds. But that's okay, it's time to beat infinite birds. Fog. Oh, he flickers his Archaeomancer? Ooh, there's bound to be a counterspell in there somewhere. Gets a counterspell. Holy cannoli, this deck is cool. I'll Tangle, which is a fog that just also happens to tap infinite birds. Another counterspell. Third fog is always the best fog. Oh, he flickers his Archaeomancer to get another counterspell. Okay, I'm bird food.
Okay, guys, huge moment here. It's turn 6, and I've been waiting patiently. But oh no, my opponent, they have a counterspell. I will respond by casting a Pyroblast. My opponent has a second counterspell. I will respond by casting my second Pyroblast. Blast, and all of this counter war is adding to the storm count. And here it comes, the big Songs of the Damned, this time making 8 mana. And I will sack that treasure token to cast Adranus Stinger. And with storm count at 9, I'm going to cast a Reaping the Graves. And 17 cycles later, I cast my 3rd Reaping the Graves that turn, and my opponent concedes. That means I have 2 wins. Carl, if you lose this one, I'm actually ahead.
I lost. Daniel kicked my butt.
I think my chances of giving away this Tron deck are pretty bleak, but I'll keep playing in the tournament because it just feels so nice to play Tron.
This event so far is really cool. Paupergeddon even had a commander area this time, and celebrities. Look, that's Souls. Her content is so lovely. This is Mattia. He looks nice, but we're gonna have to take him down if we want to give this deck to Alessandro, who submitted it. Oh, I'm playing against snakes again? I'm sick of these Mother Hissin snakes on my Mother Hissin playmat. So I counterspell. Mattia plays us a beautiful concert on his invisible piano. I assume it sounds a bit like this. Counterspell.
Alright, this is my opponent, Raffaele. And at this point in the tournament, the stakes are so high, because if we keep winning, we're actually going to qualify for day 2 of this tournament.
In large events like this, the top 64 players of the tournament get to play in a much smaller tournament the next day. This is called day 2 and is always what top players have their eye on. Devin, what are you doing to get to day 2?
I'm playing my 2nd Adranus Stinger. Then I'm going to cycle, and I win the game. It's just that easy. Carl, we're staying neck and neck. Did you get beat down by the snakes?
I fogged so much that he actually got bored and gave up. He still even has cards in his deck. Doral, are your Tron lines working?
I'm so close, but that's a crypt incursion. Samuele will gain 3 life for every creature in my graveyard. 12? Wow, that's 36 life. That's so impressive. Devin, are you still doing your cycle thing?
Now, this is a really tough matchup for my deck, and my opponent's going to start off by playing an Island, an Ornithopter, a Springleaf Drum, and a Relic of Progenitus, all on turn 1. Now, the Relic of Progenitus is a piece of graveyard interaction that most people in Pauper run in their sideboards, and it's really good at stopping my deck from comboing off, because if I have no creatures in my graveyard, then Songs of the Damned doesn't make any mana, and Reaping the Graves can't return anything to cycle with in order to keep the chain going. But now it's 2 turns later and my opponent plays an All That Glitters. Now this is an aura that gives the enchanted creature +1/+1 for each artifact and enchantment that they control. And because this is an affinity deck, that's a lot of artifacts already on their board, and it's giving this Thraben Inspector +6/+6. So, unfortunately I lose this game.
If you think that card looks fun and you thought to yourself, ooh, I'll buy All That Glitters on Cardmarket and bring it to my local Pauper tournament, please don't. It was banned about a week ago for just being a little bit too good at beating your opponent.
But at least my games are quick, unlike Mr. Turbofog over here. How is it going over there?
I got on one knee and asked him the question. Cards in your library? And he said 10. And then I loaded my cannons. And now I'm 3-2, still alive for day 2, baby. Devin, did you win against All That Glitters?
So my opponent plays a white artifact land called Ancient Den, and on my turn, I decide to evoke an Ingature, this time going after his land. And my thought process here is if I can keep him off of the white mana, then All That Glitters can't come down, and I have way more time to set up my combo to win. But oh no, I get instantly punished. My opponent untaps and then plays a Relic of Progenitus. Oh no, this is not good. And now every single turn for the rest of the game, he's just going to tap his Relic of Progenitus using the first ability to make me exile a card from my graveyard. And he has the All That Glitters. And it's even pumped by his Relic of Progenitus. And everything was just way too much for me to overcome, and I lost the game, unfortunately. Dang it.
Oh, hey, these are 2 of the guys from the Bajuka Pod. We recorded a podcast episode with them.
Yeah, the podcast is about this very tournament, and it's also in English. You can listen to it by clicking the pinned comment or in the description down below.
I'm finally in the lead. Next game will determine who gets to send their deck to the viewer. If you win and I lose, Matthias gets a Cycle Storm deck. But if I keep winning, I'm sending this deck straight to Alessandro on a cloud. But Francesco is here and he has his eyes on day 2, so he won't make it easy for me. Dredge is a classic old deck that is really good at putting cards into the graveyard, because with the Dredge mechanic, instead of drawing a card from the top of your library, you can bring back a Dredge card from your graveyard to your hand and just mill that many cards from the top of your library into your graveyard. And look at that stacked graveyard. I just gained 15, going to 26, life is good. All I need to do is untap and play my mill spell and I win. Oh, that troll deals 17 damage? And he returns another one? I think I might be dead. No fog can save me from a giant troll spitting on me. Devin, are you any closer to giving the deck to Matthias?
This was just not the round for me. I lost. One of the issues with playing a graveyard combo deck is your opponent can play a Bajuka Bog, and then they can play another Bajuka Bog, a Relic of Progenitus, a Dawnbringer Cleric, another Dawnbringer Cleric. And it turns out when you have nothing in your graveyard, you can't win with this deck. Well, Torolf, are you still playing?
I'm playing against Cobblade again. This feels like a matchup where my opponent plays a Squadron Hawk and I die. Literally, I even had turn 3 Tron.
And you, Carl? Not trying to say I hope you lose, but if you do, then I'm still in the race.
That same graveyard hate that got you out of your game is actually saving me here. I bogged and then I asked him how many cards he has in his library. He said 14. So count with me. 4, 8, 12, 16, and fire. And I'm sending this deck to Alessandro.
Well played and congratulations, Carl. And a special thank you to Matthias for sending in this deck. It was super fun and super puzzly, and I had a blast.
Alessandro, check your mailbox. You're receiving this deck any day now. But now we have one final boss. If I beat Fabio here, we will make the top 64 player cut of the 750 player event and make it to day 2.
If you win this, you make day 2 with a viewer submitted deck. Let's go!
We play a few lands. I brainstorm. He brainstorms. I see he is a wise wizard as well. He played Zenogre of Bolas.
Which in this case just reads, put a completely useless card into your hand?
Grid does nothing if you don't play creatures. I foretell.
You don't need to hide it, Carl. We know what it is.
Fabio starts his 19-turn clock and plays a pirate. That'll draw him 2 cards a turn.
This looks like it's your doom.
He attacks for 4. He balls me down to 12. Fabio has a game plan. I mean, the best I can do is what I came here to do, which is nothing. He'll attack, but this time, I will fog. And I will fog. And what's that? Is someone smoking in here? Because there sure is a lot of fog. And fog. Mill him for 8. He double bolts me. But that's okay, man. I'm lost in the fog. And then I'll mill him for all he's got. How did we even do this? I'm beating the snakes.
All right, Carl, you've got this. Just one more time.
Unfortunately, I didn't. Fabio and his snakes threw me into the Garbaggio. But there is still game 3. And amigos, I feel like victory is in the air.
And fog. There's also a lot of fog in the air.
We have one game, one shot, one opportunity to seize everything we ever wanted in one moment. We have to capture it and not let it slip.
And we're in Italy, so obviously after this game, we're getting some spaghetti.
We said we came here to do nothing, but that was a lie. We came here to give Alessandro a Turbo Fog deck, and we accomplished that. And now our goal is to make day 2 and win this whole tournament with that deck.
That's timing around, Carl. You only have 5 collective turns to end the game, or it's a draw.
That means Fabio still has 3 turns to go.
He attacks. I'll attempt to draw 3 cards. He'll try to counter my spell. I'll try to counter his spell. Ooh, this is tense. I'll draw some cards and go to 15. I'll gain 15 life because this is the 5th spell played this turn. Back up to 30.
You only have 1 turn after this one, Carl. Come on, you've got to win.
It's go time. Let's mill Fabio for 12. Fabio draws and looks at his hand, disappointed. He attacks with a snake, a fish, and some birds. I go to 19. I'll try to draw 3 cards. He counters. I counter back. I'll draw 3 cards. He attacks. I'll fog. This is my last turn of the game. My hand is full of fogs. I can either draw the game by fogging his attack, then we're 1-1 and we tie. Or I can try to win here and mill him out.
You can do it.
Let's go.
He has 18 cards in his deck. I can mill him for 20. Let's go for it. I'll replicate my stream of thought 4 times. Oh, he has a counter. Aha, I counter back. Oh, he has another counter. I mill him for 16. Oh, if only I had 1 more turn, I could have been patient.
Well played.
Fog.
Cycle.
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 Fog.
Cycle.